Welcome to Let's Talk About It. A podcast gives a platform for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversations. Please subscribe, like, comment, enjoy this journey, and enjoy this ride. Welcome to this week's episode. Welcome everybody to Let's Talk About It. A podcast gives a platform for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversations. The people who have subscribed to this podcast, I thank you so much. Keep on joining me on this ride. For people who are brand new to YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment, share. People who listen to me on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, thank you so much for joining me on this ride. If you're brand new to the audio part of it, please give me a follow. Please give me a rating. 5 stars would definitely will be appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, as some of you older guests know, I love stats. I'm a stats guy. Today, right, we're going to do something right that I don't know that much about. Maybe some of you do, some of you don't. We're going to go over ADHD, which is Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. I don't know anything about it. A lot of people have talked about this over the years. So I have ADHD, I have ADD. I didn't know anything that much about it. And I was intrigued by it because, I'm a stats guy and I like to learn stuff. I'm 53 years old and I like to learn new and more things. So today's episode is not a stats episode. We're going to go over ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Enjoy this ride. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, as of 2024, there are 15.6 million adults in the United States that has been diagnosed with ADHD, the Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Now, that is 6% of the adult population. 6%. Can you believe that? A lot of people talk about it. 6% of the adult population is a lot. You're talking about 15.6 million. That's a lot of people. Excuse me, I got to take a sip of this coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue on this ride. There's some negative effects of ADHD that I did not know about. We will get into some of them. First and foremost is mental health. Mental health is a part of ADHD. That's one of the negative effects. If you're going through anxiety, if you're going through depression or suicidal, these are some of the negative effects of having ADHD. I think some of us have been through this. Some of us not been through this. Maybe you should get, go to diagnosis or whatever. But these are some of the negative effects, which is baffled me. I didn't know anything about this. I'm 53 years old, growing up in Philly. When you was a kid, 80s and 90s and stuff like that, we ain't know nothing about this. I'm glad they're doing research about this and helping other people realize that this stuff actually exists. Let's get into some other negative effects, okay? Relationship problems. A lot of us went through relationship problems. Maybe ADHD was a part of that. Social anxiety, lasting bonds. That was a big one right there. Didn't know nothing about that. Family disruption, family stress. It's another negative effects of ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Didn't know about that one as well. Daily functioning on a daily basis, another negative effect. This is an interesting one. Poor academics. I guess if you're struggling in school or, college, high school, whatever, you might have ADHD. Job problems, focusing and hitting your deadlines, and that is crazy. People go through that. That's one of the negative problems. Financial problems, paying your bills on time. And the last one is substance abuse, drugs, etc. These are some of the negatives of the negative effects of having ADHD, which I did not know about. It's crazy. Let's continue. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the 6 types of ADHD. These are 6 types. Now, you gotta excuse me from our past people who know me on this podcast. I am not the best in pronunciation. I try to do my best. I spell it as well. But let's get through this. This is type 1. This is classic ADD. Classic ADD. It's hyperactivity, restlessness, and impulsivity. Crazy. That's type 1. It's called classic ADD. Type 2 is intensive ADD. Intensive ADD. Low energy, motivation, spacey, and preoccupied. That might be one of the types of it. If you're going through all that, that's type 2 of it. Type 3 is over focused ADD. Over focused. Trouble shifting attention. They say you stuck on negativity. You have negative thoughts. Your behaviors like flip flop all over the place. This is over focused ADD. Holding grudges. That was kind of a big one right there. Didn't know nothing about that one. And being very argumentative. Maybe we know someone has these symptoms, but these are the types of ADHD that's out there. That's type 3. Let's go to type 4. Temporal lobe. I guess this is from your head. Being short fused. You misinterpretate comments. I've probably done that. A lot in my life. Periods of anxiety. That's another one right there. This is one I didn't know. Headaches. If you get a lot of headaches, they could be, a type of ADHD. Abdominal pain. Wow. Didn't know nothing about that one, but that was something new. This is all part of temporal lobe state, type 4. History of head injuries is another one. Dark thoughts and struggles with reading. Dark thoughts and struggles with reading. This is type 4, the whole temporal lobe one. That was a very interesting one. Type 5, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, is limbic ADHD. It's LIMBIC. Sorry, not the best one at it. This is chronic mild sadness. Chronic mild sadness. Well, I guess you're just constantly sad. Again, negativity. Another one is low energy. I actually know like a couple people with a lot of low energy. No matter what they do, they can get 10 hours of sleep, 12 hours of sleep. They take all type of vitamins, but they still have low energy. Maybe you should get diagnosed with this. Low self-esteem. Some of us have been through this in our lives. Social isolation. Social isolation. That's another one. Poor appetite and sleep patterns. That is part of type 5 of the limbic ADD, LIMBIC. For people who listen to me on Apple, iHeart, and Spotify. Type 6, ladies and gentlemen, ring of fire. Extreme moodiness. This is type 6, ring of fire. Extreme moodiness. Anger outbursts. Wow. Fast thoughts, excessive talking, and sensitive to sounds and lights. They say that is the ring of fire. That is type 6. That is 6 types of ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Wow. If you have one of these types, maybe talk to your doctor, talk to somebody about this. I just want to bring the information out to you. I didn't know nothing about this. Again, for people who are watching me on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button, ladies and gentlemen, because every time an episode comes out on Let's Talk About It with Lou J, it pops on your phone, your laptop, everything. Even notification button if you're listening to me on Apple, iHeart, or Spotify, hit that notification button. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue with this right here, because this one is crazy. I did not know this. This is a nice little stat here. Let's pay attention to this very well. Children from racial and ethnic minority groups. Again, children from racial and ethnic minority groups are less likely to receive an ADHD diagnosis than white children. This is, again, children from racial and ethnic minority groups are less likely to receive an ADHD diagnosis than white children. That can be a little controversial. It's out there. I'm just putting it out there. You can take it any which way you want. It was very, very surprising on that. But research suggests that children of color may be less likely to receive an accurate diagnosis and appropriate treatment for ADHD. They've been researching this for the last 10 years. Again, children of color may be less likely to receive an accurate diagnosis and an appropriate treatment for ADHD. You can take that any way you want. I know how I feel, but that's how it is. I just want to put that out there to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going over ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. These are some of the stats I came out with that I learned about. I did not know about this. I know my past stats episodes that I brought out, some people love it. Some people have taken it in. For the people who like these stats, keep on bringing them. Give me ideas. I'll do research and more stats, but this is crazy. Let's continue. ADHD by race. ADHD by race. These are the highest to the lowest. Number one is white. Number two is black. Number three is American Indian. Number four is Pacific Islander. And number five, which has the lowest of ADHD symptoms or diagnosis, is Hispanics. They have the lowest percentage of it. You know, ADHD is more common, ladies and gentlemen, in males than females. That's all ethnic groups. Again, ADHD is more common with males than females. Go figure that. And I'm a male, and I'm up here saying this right now. That is crazy. Let's go over, this subject of ADHD here in America, United States, a big one. You already know you got 15.6 million people has been diagnosed after 2024. Let's go over to a couple of different countries, how way they handle it. This is an example of a couple of countries, how way they handle it across the world. Okay. Let's go to France. How way they recognize it. How way they recognize ADHD. The French community has decided to focus on more fixing the underlying causes of the problem behavior instead of giving it a wide range diagnosis. Basically no meds. Again, the French community has decided to focus more on fixing the underlying causes of the problem behavior, instead of giving it a wide range diagnosis, basically no meds. That's how the French handle it. You can take that any way you want, but I'm just putting it out there. That's how the French handle ADHD. Let's go into what's going on in Japan, because on my other episodes, Japan treat everything differently. Stats about that. Going through my other episodes, you'll see how Japan does everything. In Japan, there is 1.65% of adults that has been diagnosed with ADHD. That's a low number. That is 6 out of 10,000 people has been diagnosed with ADHD. One of the lowest in the world. That is crazy. It's a different world over in Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the two highest countries statistically with ADHD. Africa is at 8.5%. South America, 11.8% has been diagnosed with ADHD. That's just some of the examples of it. You can go online, you can research yourself. You have a whole the whole graph of every country. But South America is the highest. 11.8% have been diagnosed with ADHD. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Go figure that. Let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. These 5 states here in the United States have the highest number of ADHD for the ages 3 to 17 years old. The highest. These 5 states right here are the highest from 3 years old to 17 years old. Number 1 at 16.5% is Louisiana. Has the highest rate of ADHD in the United States. 12% receive prescription medication in Louisiana. Crazy. Number 2 at 15.9% is Rhode Island. Rhode Island. But is ranked 17th for the number of children receiving behavioral treatment and 10th for medication in the United States. It's just facts. It's out there online. That's how it is. That's just in Rhode Island. Number 3, my Gilly Berry but this should be interesting to her. Because she's a teacher down there in South Carolina. It's South Carolina. 15.8% has the 3rd highest rate of childhood ADHD, but ranks 31st in the US for autism rates. Again, South Carolina, 15.8% has the 3rd highest rate of childhood ADHD, but ranks 31st in the United States for autism ratings. Wow. That was crazy. I didn't know nothing about that. I'm learning stuff every day. Me and my girlfriend, we talk about this stuff all the time, right? With ADHD. I didn't know nothing about it, especially autism. Right? Because she deals with kids with autism all the time. And I wanted to learn more about it. These stats are just staggering to me. Number 4, ladies and gentlemen, is at 15.5% is Maine. They lead all states in the number of moderate to severe cases at 11.5%. Wow. Number 5, ladies and gentlemen, is West Virginia. Despite being 5th, only 10.3% of children receive mental health care compared to 11.2% nationwide. That's in West Virginia. That is crazy. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up, pretty much soon. But I just want to let everybody know this. This is something I did not know. Take this in. One of the main questions out there a lot of people ask, this online, social media, wherever, is ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, hereditary? According to researchers, they say yes. You might want to go down your family tree. Genetics play a big role in ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Yes, it does. That's what researchers have been saying for the last 10, 15 years. So when they've been researching this. So you might want to go down your family tree. If you are going through symptoms of ADHD, if you have any of these symptoms, right, that I have, the stats I put out there, you might want to get, people in your family tree diagnosed, kids diagnosed. And there's a big problem with children too. Big problem with children. One of the last two of these, percentage, this is the percentage of ADHD around the world. This is the percentage of ADHD around the world. Adults, 2 to 5%. Children, 5 to 7.2% around the world. That's a lot of people, right? In the United States alone, this is from 18 to 44, 8.1%, 10.5 million. United States children from 3 to 17, 11.4. I'm not going to give the number on children. But imagine that. It's 11.4%. That's 3% higher than adults with ADHD. Very disturbing. Last and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, these are signs for adults. These are top signs for adults. Maybe you know somebody or something like that. Give you a heads up. These are the top 4 signs that you might, this is for you, maybe you might see somebody else. Struggles to maintain their time. Struggles to stay on top of their finances. Meet deadlines. Maintain stable home and social life. So if any of those 4 resonate to you, that's a top 4. And I've already went over the other reasons, but those are the top 4 right there. Those are top 4. You know somebody, or you're going through it yourself, you might want to get diagnosed. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this episode. I love doing these stats. I have a whole bunch of other stats coming out as well. A lot more amazing guests. I wanted to calm down on the guests a little bit, spread out the guests a little bit, because I want to do more stats and more history coming out, untold history. A lot of those episodes are coming out. Again, thank you so much. If you're on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification button. If you're listening to me on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, thank you so much. Hit that notification button. Everything's in the descriptions below. Thank you so much. Everybody have a good day and have a great week. See you next time on Let's Talk About It. Peace. Thank you for watching the show. Please like, subscribe, comment. Stay tuned next week for another exciting episode on Let's Talk About It.